Hey, everybody. Denver Riggleman here along with Tinfoil Matt. And we have a hell of a show tonight. We are talking about Robert F. Kennedy Jr. and birthed in conspiracy.
It's on the Mighty Peculiar.
Scary shit right there.
Mighty Peculiar.
Hello, sports fans. Welcome to the Mighty Peculiar. And you know, always on the show, Tinfoil Matt always tries to challenge me. And Matt, what do you have today to challenge Denver Riggleman on the Mighty Peculiar?
Well, today we got a couple of different challenges. First, we got a challenge for the people watching. They need to like this episode, subscribe to the YouTube channel, and also turn on the notifications because that is important, I've heard. And if you don't do any of that stuff, we're shooting you with a space laser. So you better do it.
Oh, my.
Yeah,
man, that's
it's rough. You know what? This is new. Hot. We've made some changes already here. But we're gonna get really tough with the audience too, and just
well, I didn't know Marjorie Taylor Greene was one of our target audience members.
Well, she might just be a target, actually.
Yeah, you know. She might just be.
But I have to say, we've made a few changes, and here on the grassy knoll, it's getting a little crowded. I see, there's me like normal, but there's a third person here. Who is it? Whoa! What is this?
Hello, I'm the guy who turns the knobs and tells you when to hit your marks. I'm the guy that you beat with your cell phone screaming, "I'm talent, don't bother me with that."
Right. Yes. You're the person I'm going to get really mad at when you say, "You're going off topic, Matt. You're going off topic."
What's great about all this is that I got two pros here with me to help me keep me on the straight and narrow.
Right. Yeah. You should you should see how Doug and I interact off of this. Like, very professional.
It's going to be great. I know it's professional, and I cannot wait to see this buttoned up broadcast when it's done. But thank you guys so much. This is going to be a lot of fun.
Awesome.
Thanks.
Nice meeting you, Doug.
You too, sir.
Good to see you.
So, but what's really at hand today is everyone's favorite Kennedy, the one that definitely has brought no shame to the family name, right? We're talking Robert F. Kennedy Jr.
I think I got to tell you, I know that, I know a little bit about him, as you probably knew I would, but I have a feeling you're going to try to surprise me today. And I always love this because what we try to do on the Mighty Peculiar is we try to take what happens in the past or belief systems, and we try to translate that to what's happening today. And that's what's always so much fun is when you can find conspiracies, cults, myth, bizarre belief systems attacking our nation's capital. And we can actually link that, right, to real world crazy events. And so that's why I'm so excited to talk about our good friend Robert F. Kennedy Jr. today.
Well, and, this one is even more linked to the present than, in the past we talked about the mad gas or we've talked about other, things before. Whereas Robert F. Kennedy Jr. keeps insisting upon trying to insert himself into the current events right now. But obviously he's a link to the past because I don't think we'd be talking about conspiracy theories, or conspiracy theories would be nearly as prevalent if it wasn't for his uncle.
Well, I mean, that's
his uncle's death. And actually, speaking of which, his uncle and his dad, I have some lemonade here for a woman I think they had killed, some Marilyn Monroe lemonade. So
I guess
just
we've already.
here's to you, Marilyn. I don't know.
Yeah, it's unlucky to. I don't know if you know this. It's unlucky to test with water or non-alcohol, but I'm going to do it anyway.
This is non-alcohol. This is non-alcohol, but it's maybe if I leave it out in room temperature for a little bit longer, it'll ferment.
Did you just choke on Marilyn?
Well, we'll get on topic here.
Another bad pun. Sorry.
Before Doug yells at us.
That's right.
But I guess, what I was thinking this time, actually we kind of did this last time too, where we kind of deal more with like the stuff in the present and kind of work our way backwards a little bit, because I think it's worth establishing that Robert F. Kennedy Jr. Is the gift that keeps on giving in terms of like any possible conspiracy theory. He is now in real time commenting on them. I guess
Well, he sort of has to, right, though, Matt?
Yeah.
I mean, he's running for president. What's surprising to me is his polling is so high. I know a lot of people don't take a lot of stock in polling.
Right.
But when we talk about, you said something pretty interesting, something really more in tune with the president than we did last time with the mad gasser at Mattoon, right? Is that we have an individual who's polling higher than the also equally insane Marianne Williamson. I think that's her name.
God, yeah.
I know it's her name. But we also have it where people are thinking that actually he could be a spoiler for Joe Biden. And then, and then you have the other bizarre theories, which, I know Steve Bannon pretty well, as you know, I know about him. But the other bizarre theories about, sort of we have Robert F. Kennedy Jr., the conspiracy theorist who is being backed, by Steve Bannon. And is looking at to be a MAGA spoiler. So that's why it's so exciting and so interesting to look into the conspiracy theories or into the belief systems of a presidential candidate. And that's what shocks me about all this, that we are talking about a presidential candidate, Matt. And, as me being, a former member of Congress, I just find it frightening that there's that many people who think this guy has a chance or would even vote for him. So we'll see what happens with your research today if it changes my mind.
You mentioned his poll numbers, right?
Right.
My belief right now is it's two things. Like, it's just coasting on name value. It's the Democratic primary. It's a Kennedy. That's going to get you pretty far, actually, just based on that. Also, I think, I have a feeling that they're probably asking people that will never be voting in the Democratic primary, that most of this is all just to bruise or beat up Joe Biden a little bit to make to clear the path for Trump is really what this comes down to. And and without kind of putting the cart before the horse, I don't think there's any way to look at what Kennedy is doing right now other than it is just craven opportunism, or hoping that he is going to become an attorney general in a future Trump administration or some form of role. Because, as we start talking about some of these conspiracy theories, that he is actively endorsing, not like the past, we're not talking about like the way, say, like Marjorie Taylor Greene tried to like downplay, like, well, the QAnon stuff was like before, these are things that like he is doubling and tripling down on now, and none of them put him in step with the Democratic Party right now. They, if anything, they actively like or push him out of it. Well,
he's certainly, even as a Democratic candidate, Matt, he's not going to be running against Trump too much, right? Because he is hoping for some cross-pollination, right? Cross-pollination.
Yeah, no, that's fine.
Yeah, right, Louis. Yeah. But no, I think.
Look. You know what? We can talk about the pollinization or anything.
I think
like
I was
that.
thinking about UFO colonization because we were going to talk about today too. So I got those things a little bit mixed up. But when you're talking about cross-pollination is actually with the Trump campaign, and actually, with him being maybe, I think even selected to be, safety of immunizations, right? We could have him, in that kind of category. But what I find amazing about it is that he is getting a lot of time on major networks. Yes. And that's why it's so important, I think, to do a show like this. I know we have a lot of fun and we laugh. But really, when you look at the thread of what we're trying to do here in The Mighty Peculiar, and I want to put this out here, I think we're in our 4th episode, more or less, is to talk about that as funny as we can be, and as in the amazing research that Matt does, we are in tune with what's happening in the real world also. And I think it is important for people to understand what these people actually believe, because past performance can be indicative of future performance. And I think that's what's so important about the incredible research that Matt does. And so anyway, go ahead, my friend.
Yeah. Okay. Well, so let's kind of do this. Let's I was trying to think about the best way to kind of bring up like the current things that he has talked about since announcing for president, right?
Right.
Because I think that, we'll do a little bit of a dive into his past advocacy in a little bit, but let's just kind of bring us up to date. Okay. He's running in the Democratic primary. So put on your political hat here, Denver.
You got it.
How do you think he thinks about guns? Like, what do you think his message on guns would be?
He's running in the primary. He's going to have to either go to the left of Biden or he's going to get to stay with Biden, right? Biden says he's Second Amendment, but he's for assault weapon bans, right? There's other things that he probably wants as far as handgun regulations, closing the loopholes, right? The background check loopholes. All those things are really sort of Democratic key talking points. As far as RFK Kennedy Jr., what he should believe, Matt, is he should be to the left of that, right? Or he should be exactly where Biden is. Assault weapon bans, right? Tightening up background checks, the background check loopholes or universal background checks. Also limiting handgun purchases is one of the things he wants to do. Maybe allowing for lawsuits against firearm manufacturers, right? All the things down the line that's more of a left or a progressive viewpoint on guns. So my guess is, Matt, if he was running on the Democratic platform, he's either where Biden is or he's almost all the way down the line to a complete handgun ban, assault weapon ban, right? And registering all hunting rifles, or even to the point of getting rid of weapons altogether. So that's where I think he should be if he's running on the Democratic ticket.
So you get negative points because, guess what? It's none of that. So he basically says that he is a constitutional absolutist, and you and I have talked before about how I love that phrase. Like when people say variations of that, because again, the thing was meant to be amended. Not all the time. That means no amendments. But like, if you're an absolutist of the Constitution, which version? I mean, because which amendments were the good ones? I guess would be my question for him. No, but if anything, his stance on guns and gun safety is, I guess, less prescription drugs, because the issue came up in discussion with that he's not taking away anyone's guns, and if anything, the problem in like say mass shootings has been the prescription of antidepressants, behavior, mood, I guess, altering drugs, but like medically prescribed drugs is his answer. Less of those is his answer to guns.
So less mind altering drugs really is his solution to gun violence. Is really if you had to if you had to put a bottom line there. And I know that, I've heard him a few times on this. I think if I may steal from you a little bit, if we're talking about mental illness, right? If we're talking about that being the number one pillar of stopping gun violence, right? Which I would humbly submit, I don't know if that's it, right? Even if somebody who came from the Republican Party is a center right guy, even my views evolve based on access, right? Based on trying to have an IQ above moron, right? All those things that I try to do. But when you're talking about RFK Jr., I think it's going to be very difficult for him if he's running as a MAGA Democrat, which I think we're probably getting to that definition, maybe that he's a MAGA D.
Yeah, that's yes.
It's amazing to me, and again I'm going to come full circle and steal from you, Matt, if I may, because I thought you made a brilliant point, and I'm going to let you extrapolate on this, my friend.
Yes.
Or extrapolate this is that. What about the senior citizen violence that we're seeing right now with those taking drugs, right, or have mental illnesses, or how about the female? The female epidemic of gun violence that we should be seeing right now.
Right. So basically, if we were to take, as you said, Kennedy take him at his word that the primary cause of, say, mass shootings is the prescription drugs, the antidepressants, then the fact that the shooters are usually male and young kind of works against that theory, because the populations most frequently prescribed these kinds of drugs are elderly or women. Like, that's just, so the fact that those are the like least common in terms of the, I mean, you'll find, you know, examples here and there, but by and large, those aren't the people that are doing these shootings. And
Well, I'm trying to-
of the ones that, you know, of the young men, you know, younger men, like the mass shooters, it's even a minority of them that are prescribed these drugs. So it's not even like within that sample, there's like an overrepresentation of them being prescribed. It's even the, basically what I'm trying to say is it's complete garbage. Like, there's just nothing to this here other than he's trying to play MAGA from a Democratic side, which doesn't work. I mean, I don't know what to say. Like, it's,
well, can I give you a completely irrational rebuttal to that? If I were on a debate stage, if I was on a debate stage, I'd say, well, tinfoil Matt, seeing that you don't understand things, right? First of all, shall not be infringed is in the Second Amendment, right? Mm-hmm. Number two, the reason that they didn't have these boys on drugs is because of the mental health problems in the United States.
Right.
Because they didn't get the proper care. And I would humbly submit that the females of our world and the elderly, they're more likely to go get help, because boys have been so suppressed in this culture of feminization, right? And the fact is, in this emasculation of boys across the entire voting electorate. And for you to make this crass statement that it's just these little young white boys or other men really just goes to show that you don't understand the mental problem, because that's why we need more money for mental health, so they get on the drugs that they can. That was pretty good, wasn't it? Come on.
That was pretty good. I didn't know I was running against Josh Hawley. I don't know how I ended up in this role, but like, whew,
right?
Like,
so
that's awesome. But
thank you.
You are pointing out
that.
one amazing thing, right? It's always it's mental health, right? Like, it's not the guns, it's mental health. And now we've got someone coming in saying, you know, and he's not alone in saying this, but he's basically saying it's mental health and the treatment is wrong. But then he's not offering anything else. So, you know, it's almost like he is sitting at the place where he knows he can't say anything about guns. And he will never, I mean, he tries to play it a little both ways on doctors and medicine, but like, that's never going to be he's never going to go to that as like the solution for anything. So he's in a really untenable position, though, because
is he over 70? Is he over 70?
He's
Matt?
69 right now, I believe.
He's 69. So Robert F. Kennedy Jr. is 69. So when you're talking about what he said in the past, and I love the fact that you talked about he's trying to sort of ride the lightning, right, on the medical side because of his past comments and his past belief systems. It's really hard, and I'm not even saying this in a funny way, it's really hard for a leopard to change their spots at 69 years old. Yeah. And I just don't think he can cross the Second Amendment Rubicon the way that he's running as a MAGA Democrat.
Right.
Also, when it comes to doctors and such, he can't look completely insane. So I think he's going to have to be a little obtuse when it comes to his medical views, even based on your research, right, Matt, is that he has to be a bit obtuse because of some of the things he might have said in the past. And the fact is, after all that, even in the present day, and I know you're going to get to this, he does have to defend conspiracy theories also. So he's got a triangle of awfulness that he has to try to navigate through, I think.
Yes, a triangle of awfulness would be another great option for title of this show. Birth and Conspiracy, Triangle of Awfulness. Okay, well, let's see here. This is less conspiracy theory, but let's think about, okay, again, he's running in the Democratic primary. His last name is Kennedy. How do you think he feels about Elon Musk, who we know has emerged as a darling kind of hero on the MAGA right? But how would you think someone like Kennedy would?
Yeah, I think most people that are on the left would think of Elon Musk as sort of a shit-posting, far-right accelerationist, right? I think that's pretty much how they view him. And the fact that he's allowing so many people to be replatformed that have histories of racist language or histories of disinformation. I think for even, and I'm not just talking about Democrats here, I think even independents and center-right individuals should be defined as rhinos because they don't wear MAGA knee pads when they go to Mar-a-Lago, right? I think.
Okay, I
think
hope those are sold. I hope those are sold. Please,
well, I mean,
please.
Well, I think that might be the mighty peculiar MAGA knee pads for those who are going to visit Mar-a-Lago and want to make sure they get an appointment.
You heard it here first. That is
right.
our first mighty peculiar branded merchandise. Just so
well,
you know.
Listen. I've used that term before because that's really the issue that you have is that if he is going to run as a Democrat,
right?
I would say his definition of Elon is as a far right shit poster and as somebody who platforms racists and disinformation peddlers and Western chauvinists. I would think that's what Robert F. Kennedy Jr. should think about Elon Musk.
Cool. You really suck at this because
hey, I did lose. I was the most successful one-term congressman, man.
You know what? That's true. But on this game, just let's don't quit your.
I'm not doing well.
Don't quit your day job. Well. No, guess what? Elon Musk, according to Robert F. Kennedy Jr. on a Twitter space directly to Elon, compared Elon's current sacrifice in buying Twitter as that of the people who gave their lives during the American Revolution.
Well, I mean, listen.
That is, I mean, hyperbole doesn't even cover that. Like, that's like, so Elon becoming slightly less rich than he currently is in acquiring a social media site to replatform horrible people and just let loose like awful stuff for the most part is the same as a revolutionary soldier fighting for the country to exist and dying. They're the same.
It actually sounds like mental illness, not even.
Sounds like someone might need to be prescribed something.
Right. Well, I would say that right now, based on his own arguments, we shouldn't be allowing him to buy any guns.
I hope not. I hope he doesn't.
I mean, you're talking about somebody who's in the vapor. But again, Matt, I've done some Twitter spaces, and sometimes I get up to 3,000 to 4,000 people. I'm pretty popular that way. But yeah. I will say this, that when you have that many people in a Twitter space, I listen to some of it.
Yeah.
And when you listen to that kind of gobbledygook, the issue that we have, Matt, is that it doesn't matter. Right. It doesn't matter to the people who see this as a lark, or they're cynical, or they actually believe Robert F. Kennedy Jr. has the ability to push Trump back into the White House based on some way of dividing the vote because he's running as a Democrat. I also would love to see his fundraising, and I know that's something that we should get into at some point. Right. But I'm wondering what his fundraising is tracking as right now, and if it is substantial, if it's substantive, I'd like to see where some of that fundraising is coming from.
Right.
So I think
we should point out really quick. Sorry, that I really dunked on Elon Musk with that question. But you pointed out to me that the former owner of Twitter is an RFK Jr. super fan too. So if we were looking for, some balance in the universe, I guess it's that Jack and Musk are equally terrible, I guess. I don't know. I wasn't expecting that, but
well, I wonder if they're so disassociated from reality at this point, based on either wealth or that they think that they have some inner knowledge that the average plebs, the plebs out here don't have. Listening, and when I saw that from Jack Dorsey, there could be, and I'm not trying to paint people with a broad brush here, not trying to stereotype, but it seems like the longer the beard, the more broad the dumbassery.
The more he looks like a lighthouse keeper that hasn't touched land in years. Yeah. He might be a little detached.
But there's some great people I know that have long beards. Like Denver, man, I'm not that dumb, right? I'm not a dumbass. But I do think, though, that I think, Jack Dorsey, I believe, is a billionaire, right? A multi-billionaire, right?
I assume so.
And I think when you have an individual like this that's so disassociated and really, what did he do? Right? There's some brilliance to creating a social platform.
Sure. Oh, yeah.
But it's not like these guys have, Jack Dorsey's cured world hunger. Now, you can give Elon some props, whether it's his space program, right? Tesla was visionary. And there's going to be people who push back on Elon and say, well, a lot of that came from government handouts or from government largesse. Sure, you can make those arguments.
Sure.
But it doesn't take away from up until a certain point, it seemed like Elon, right, really did have sort of the, and I'm not trying to give him too much credit here, but it seemed like he had a greater vision for what mankind could be based on innovation, based on technology, right, and based on what he thought could be a better world, right? Whether it's, sure, environmentally better, things like that. But I think what you're saying when he bought Twitter, and I think you saw it beforehand, I think you see somebody who's sort of drunk on their own bathwater. And I think when you get, right? And I think when you get somebody like that, I think, we say disassociate, but I think he wants to sort of be relevant on every level in this country. Mm-hmm. I think, I don't know if he's bored or maybe he is missing part of the brain when it comes to common sense and judgment about individuals and conspiracy theories, because it does seem to me either he's just the richest man in the world troll, which I've thought a couple times. Yeah. Or he actually believes it. But either or, there's a great saying in the military, whether you get shot on purpose or shot on accident, you're still getting shot. Yeah. So whether he's a cynical troll that's just trying to get clicks, or whether he's a true believer, some combination thereof, it's actually damaging to the body politic and to the United States to have somebody that rich, that's in that many industries, saying things that are provably ridiculous and provably ludicrous.
Right. And again, I mean, I'm not saying that Kennedy, shouldn't be platformed. He hasn't crossed that yet. I mean, although he had been deplatformed from a couple places over some COVID related stuff, but I think it is telling that Elon Musk, has specifically platformed, Ron DeSantis in that amazing announcement event, and then RFK Jr. as his presidential, contenders, which brings me to one of my favorite little facts. And you have to correct me on something. Jenna Ellis, is she still on the Trump train, or has she been one of those people that switched to DeSantis? Do you know where she stands at the moment?
I think she's an idiot scorned. Okay. So I think
former Trump lawyer, right? Or some kind of
I think she's taking her lack of skills to South Beach.
Perfect. Okay. All right. Good.
I think she probably is going to be. I think she switched out, her allegiances from Trump to DeSantis. Okay. She could be a Kennedy Jr. individual too. So
there you go. She did after that Twitter Spaces. She commented, and I don't have the exact quote in front of me, but I do think this is kind of one of those moments where I say, it's one comment, but I feel like it's illustrative of everything. She leaves that Twitter Spaces and says that Republicans in the general election may not be able to just count on her as an automatic vote now, because she could vote for Robert F. Kennedy Jr. My question then becomes, what of the Democratic platform is he supporting that Jenna Ellis could also? Because it seemed like she wouldn't be able to support any of it. So that must mean the platform he is supporting is, as you said, MAGA-D. MAGA-D.
He's MAGA-D. And I would say that
I'm sorry. MAGA-D.
I think the platform she's supporting will be stolen election. Yep. I would say it'd also be anti-vax.
Oh, and okay, you're 2 for 2 on him. Yeah, he's kind of got both of those.
Right. I think he's pro 2A on a level that Jenna will get behind. Mm-hmm. Right. And I wonder what his policy is, right, on things like the Fed or things like the IRS, right? I wonder if he's abolish the IRS kind of jokester, right?
If he isn't yet, give him about a week.
Right, because he's going to have to come out if he's going to stay on the mag ad. If he's going to have to,
I know it's hard.
If he's going to stay on the mag ad pipeline, right, he's going to have to come out as an abolish the IRS or to defund it. And here's the other thing that I think he's going to have to get on the train with. He's going to have to get on the defund FBI train. I'm not saying this in a funny way, but that's become sort of a pillar.
Kind of already there.
And so these are some of the things that you're going to have to watch out for. If it starts to listen, listen, Matt, you know this.
Yeah.
If it looks like a duck and quacks like a duck and flies like a duck, it's usually a duck. But if he's actually filling in all those blocks, there's no way you can actually call him a legitimate Democrat. But it's still interesting to me that when you talk about the environmental side of the fence,
Yeah.
when you talk about the fact that he's a climate change advocate, right, and things like that, or he thinks that science needs to be brought to bear on that, it does put him in line with Elon Musk. But that is the one thing I think on the Democratic platform,
Right.
is that climate change is seen as a pillar, just like abortion. And the other thing I want to, and so Robert F. Kennedy Jr. on abortion, is he pro-choice or pro-life? Actually, that's, I have all this other knowledge in my head. He's said so many wackadoo things. I don't even know if he's pro-choice or pro-life.
So he is pro-choice. He kind of does the I'm from a huge Catholic family, because he is one of 11 children from his dad and his mom. Whew. Trying to figure out how that guy had time to be attorney general and run for president. And because 11 kids, I don't know, man.
Well, if it's like me, 11 kids times 90 seconds is not a lot of time. I mean, let's just be honest. I mean, it's what?
Okay. If you were Robert F. Kennedy Jr. and you were running in the Democratic primary and the issue of Ukraine came up, and the question was, who's caused all the problems for Ukraine right now? Who's the number one culprit? You would say
Putin.
Okay. How about America?
Putin.
No, it's America. Sorry to tell you. He has actually, well, okay, to be fair, his exact take on this is Ukrainians are almost equally as victimized by American policies as they are by the Russian invasion.
Well, I disagree with that because, Matt, you are talking to
because you're sane. That's why you disagree with it. You're sane.
I'm sane, but I also know a little bit about foreign policy. I have some of that, that juice. And as people are watching this, and Matt's asking me these leading questions so that I lose this game, know that I do have some knowledge of this. I'm definitely.
You are currently your deficit of points is how many points Trump or how many votes Trump didn't get in Georgia. So maybe you can find someone that will find those for you. But that's where you.
If I can find 11,780 points so that I can win this game, but so I do believe though when you're talking about Ukraine, I think somebody's opinion on Ukraine who has absolutely no foreign policy experience, or somebody who already has the belief systems that he has. Yeah. There is something you've heard me say before, and something when we've had serious conversations about individuals and what they say is the first thing you have to look at when somebody tells you something or you're hearing what you think is some kind of expert opinion is, what is the source?
Right.
And if Robert F. Kennedy Jr. is the source of this actual this opinion or this foreign policy bloviation, right, that he's putting out there. Yeah. Looking at his past, it's very difficult for me as a normal thinking, sane human being, as you identify me as, and I appreciate that. As somebody who's been in Congress, somebody who's run multiple companies in the DoD space, somebody who's been an Air Force intelligence officer, right? Yeah. Somebody who did very well in school when it came to foreign policy for Eastern Europe and Russia. That was actually my degree, right? Somebody who's deployed to Eastern Europe during very hostile times. Yeah. When I hear something like this, it's not that my blood boils or it's not like enraging. For me, it's almost like it's almost like I'm casting him away indifferently. Like it's not even worth my time, right? But for millions of Americans, tens of millions of Americans, for them, that's a valid viewpoint.
Right. Yeah. And again, it's funny that one of the criticisms that usually was leveled against Democrats or the left was that they were the Blame America First party. It was always everything. And in that respect, that's a place where, I never thought that was super fair, but that aside, that's almost the one area where you could say, I guess with the extreme left, out of the Vietnam era, that's the one place where maybe he's got some some purchase power with a certain segment of the Democratic Party, but at the same time, that's also where a lot of MAGA has purchase power with some of the Democratic Party. And that brings us to that idea of the horseshoe theory, right? That the idea that at a certain point, these extremes are so extreme that they are closer together than just the
Absolutely
middle.
correct. Absolutely correct. But, you talked about his beliefs today. He's also a populist conspiracy theorist, right? When it comes to some of his beliefs about some of the news that's come out lately about UFOs, correct?
Yeah. Let's, like any deep thinker, he really likes to look at an article and then say, this proves everything I've ever said. He, as of this recording, about a week ago, what was it? The Debrief? What was the publication that?
Yeah, the Debrief.
Okay.
Right. Reporter and the Debrief. Yep.
Says that there was a whistleblower that confirms that the United States government has confirmed alien intelligence, extraterrestrial intelligence, and has in our possession craft or bodies, something like that.
Well, yeah, they talked about having foreign material, vehicles made of foreign or alien material, and also actual alien bodies in the possession of the United States government.
So, to quote him directly, because you can't do it better than this. When he sees this story, he tweets another conspiracy theory that turned out to be true. I guess Men in Black got it right.
He is running for president.
Yes.
Of the United States, right?
Yep.
And I think that's one of the things that we need to be aware of. That again, we're laughing about him saying that somehow Will Smith, right? And who is the actor with him?
Tommy Lee Jones.
Tommy Lee Jones. Somehow were actually in Hollywood through art. That was a nonfiction movie.
Well, I will say this, considering his thoughts on guns, there's that famous shooting range scene where Will Smith opts not to shoot any of the monsters, but just shoots the little girl with the science book. That's a pretty good summation of Robert Kennedy's beliefs. Hey,
which
innocent girl wanting to learn science. Bam.
Well, that's where we're at, right? And when you're talking about what have we already covered, right, Matt? You've already covered UFO belief systems, right? That are now. Listen, I would like to tell on record here in the Mighty Peculiar on this evening, as we are talking about this, that the fact that we have alien bodies, right, and the fact that we might have craft made of alien material, I'm going to give you a score of 99% bullshit on that. I just want everybody to know. You might be reading this. You might think that you have a dull life and you really want Zeta Reticulans to actually be a thing, or the Quaventillors, the harmonic universe interdimensional jumping Bigfoots. Maybe you want to be a Bigfoot contactee. Maybe you want to be an alien abductee. Hell, maybe you want to get it on in a spaceship above Mercury, right, and fly all the way to Uranus. Great, right? But you're shaking your head, Matt. I
just was looking for some dice to roll. I feel like I need to charisma and my
But what I'm saying though is that we have somebody who automatically assumes that somehow single source reporting from a place like that publication would report it is somehow vindicates his belief system on UFO, aliens, abductions, and alien craft. Secondly, you've already talked about his belief that only mental health issues, which can't be statistically really proven in any way, are the only reason or the only thing we can do to stop gun violence. And we've touched on his anti-vax and his conspiracy theories there.
Right. And it
seems to me that with a guy running for president and his love of Elon Musk, right? We talked about that, and you're very, probing questions about what a Democrat should believe.
No, this is about UFOs.
Well, guy, are we missing all my words here? Probing and bang and Uranus.
No, No, I got that one. I heard
Okay.
that one.
So, I mean, this is pretty incredible for a former congressman to have this kind of wit and humor. But
It's why you got run out, man. Like, you're just too good.
Matt, you're what? We going there? We going there? No. So, I think though, the research that you've done, I think maybe that's just the tip of the iceberg, is it not? When it comes to Robert F. Kennedy Jr.
Well, I guess so. Here's the elephant in the room. You kind of mentioned it. I know I briefly mentioned it too. So he was very influential, instrumental in the anti-vax movement. Again, interestingly, much like Kennedy's overall beliefs, something that started more on like the left. There was more the far left kind of new age, almost Marianne Williamson. I don't know where she stands on that, but that kind of crowd was really where anti-vax started. And nowadays it's swung to all the way to the right. And so that was like almost the one place you could say Kennedy was ahead of this. Right. So it's a huge convoluted mess. Anti-vax beliefs are, I almost thought I was losing my mind researching anti-vax beliefs by reading the actual like writings that, whether it was published, things that made its publication or just Facebook posts. I was just trying to kind of get the flavor of like, what is it exactly that they are against, right?
Right.
So just need to start very simple. And I'm going to use a prop here. Let me just try and get this. So ethyl mercury is not equal to methyl mercury. Let's just keep that in mind, okay? These are two different things. Ethyl mercury not equal to methyl mercury.
What is the difference, Matt? What's the difference here?
So it's actually pretty simple. Methyl mercury, this one on the bottom, has never been in vaccines. Humans can be exposed to it through eating things like shellfish and is detrimental to people's health. That is like a neurotoxin. Your body cannot get rid of it. It just stores up. So, where people will often, get it is, this is like when, if a woman is pregnant and they're advised to avoid seafood or whatever, it's because methyl mercury builds in bodies. So like if some form of seafood eats another form of seafood eats another form, it's just going to keep building and building and building to the point.
So does methyl mercury kill you immediately? Is it sort of additive? Is it something
it is a neurotoxin, so it will you can ingest so much of it that yes, it can be fatal.
Right.
But
and we're not
for the
medical
most part,
doctors here, but this is great research, by the way, Matt.
So
great
now
research.
So methyl mercury, you can get exposed to it just by your diet if you are like a super, like you want to just eat like every kind of calamari, octopus, whatever.
Right.
Ethyl mercury. Ethyl, just think of that as like your grandma Ethel. She's nice. She's not harmful. Maybe she may do things like to help you that also make you a little like, like, what is that? What was the old thing like castor oil or something that was supposed to be good for you, but it was awful? Okay. So ethyl mercury is a preservative. And it's used in certain vaccines. And I will say that like primarily it's usually just like the flu vaccine at this point.
Right.
And it helps keep it alive. So the vaccine is actually useful when you need that. You need the flu culture to be alive so your body can form its immunities against it. So ethyl mercury can be used as a preservative, but then it also, your body can get rid of it. So it will exist in your body anywhere between 3 and 6 days. And then it leaves your body. It does not build. It's not long enough for it to be toxic to humans.
Okay.
So ultimately, it's a good thing. It's useful. It's also not been in vaccines, even though it's safe, other than the flu vaccine. it has not been used regularly in vaccines since like about 2001.
Okay.
So that was kind of when a big uproar was starting, and they did take it out of it because they, I guess, found it to be, for most of the vaccines, it was kind of unnecessary. It didn't need the preservative like that. So it does not exist in any childhood vaccine, right? So, and that's going to be the important part here is since 2001, anyone 6 or under is not even exposed to ethyl mercury. It's just not there. So
really what you're saying though, right now for most young kids, or since 2001, there not only is there not something as dangerous as methyl mercury inside, used as some kind of additive,
which was never
in the vaccine. There's no ethyl mercury either. Like for me, I probably had ethyl mercury in my childhood vaccine, saying in the 70s, 80s.
Oh yeah,
right?
It was first used in vaccines, I think, somewhere in like the 1920s.
Okay,
and
so that explains my vestigial tail.
Until okay, well, so all right, but see, here's the thing. The nice thing is you're not an anti-vaxxer. You're a pro-vestigial tail guy, so you're actually happy about that.
Oh, it's shaking now, brother. Well, the thing though is that I'm joking, and that's the other thing, Matt. Is as soon as I said that joke, after your incredible explanation, because I got a feeling we're going to go with methyl and ethyl mercury, and they're probably used in a way that people get them confused, right? Is that your shirt?
That was the thing that drove me crazy, is people were using that interchangeably. And I kept wondering, as I was reading it, is it me? Am I just not seeing? So all I did was go look up each word. That's all I did. That was the magic. Found out they are two different things. But
so you looked at definitions? You looked at definitions and actually the makeup of each specific compound? Is that what you did?
I did. What I first wanted to do was Google evil ethyl mercury to see like how it was poisoning me, but I just couldn't get anything because it's not evil. It's just not.
So now we have a guy, anti-vaxxer. You said it's so deep, it's amazing. You found how ethyl and methyl mercury can actually be somehow confused by people who are ignorant or don't do a basic lookup of a chemical compound or a definition, right? Again, and I think I always want to come back to this. I just want to let you both know this, and I love it. And I'm talking to Doug too. I'm sorry, Doug. I know I can't see you, but I know you're there.
He's always there.
He's always there, right? Is that this man is running for president?
Yes.
Okay. This man is running for president, and I'm hoping, as people look at Matt's research and as we go down into just what this man has said, we don't even have to go into any type of where we're guessing what he means, right? We are looking at self-identified.
To a fault, he is transparent in his thinking. I mean, he will just tell you.
I guess that's one good thing, right?
Sure.
That's one good thing. So now as we're starting to layer his belief systems, right? My guess is, Matt, there's even more, right, that we have to delve into. And if we need to, I don't want to get off this topic because the anti-vax topic bothers me.
Right.
So the issue that I have right now is that if we have somebody like him, right, that's running for president, and you've already pointed this out, we have a hell of a show already.
Right.
Where else are we going? What else is this guy somehow not even able to tell, between fact and fantasy? Or
right. Well, let me say this. You know what? It's funny because to stick with the anti-vax stuff, because this will actually perfectly transition to one that I still don't know if I even completely understand of him. But with this, again, ethyl, methyl mercury, right? It's my ultimate takeaway from this, because Kennedy himself, was still making this mistake, this mischaracterization, whichever way you want to. I mean, my assumption is this is intentional. I think there are people out there that were writing Facebook posts and stuff that were innocently confusing the two, because again, they are one letter different, right? So methyl and ethyl mercury, right? But not too terribly long ago, and I don't have the exact date. I want to say it was like 2011. He executive produced a documentary about ethyl mercury. It was under a brand name, like and my pronunciation is gonna be terrible. I think it was thimerosal. It's THIMEROSAL. Okay, that was a vaccine preservative, which is what is made up of ethyl mercury, right?
Sure.
So he makes a documentary still railing on this same issue, which is like, it's, you know, all the detrimental effects to vaccinating, you know, kids and all of that stuff. Now, we talked last week about phantom problems demanding real world solutions. He is still blaming something that has not existed in childhood vaccines since 2001. So to me, at this point, it's intentional. It's not like an innocent mistake that like he's, you know, mixing one up, you know, for the other, which, you know, maybe early on, I guess. Sure. I mean, I didn't know the difference between the two before I started this, right? Like, so the fact that it's like he's still doing it, and actually he did it not too long ago in public with, I don't want to break Doug's heart here, but I'm going to kind of have to for a second. So sorry, Doug. Welcome to the show. Robert De Niro and RFK Jr. were on stage together challenging the audience, and they put up money to challenge the audience to, would you just inject mercury into your body? Because that's what you're doing with vaccines anyways. Again, not differentiating that there was a safe one and a non-safe one, just blanket statement saying that this is toxic, right?
But then it sounds to me, you said he was transparent, right, Matt? So to me, it's transparently malicious.
At this point, yes, definitely.
Right? It's transparently malicious because now he has to monetize and he has to validate what he said in the past, no matter what, because he can't turn that ship now.
Right.
So when you say ethyl mercury, right, and somebody's talking about ethyl mercury specifically, would you just inject mercury into your body? It's the same type of using one word, a partial truth, right? It's ethyl mercury, right?
Right.
And actually completely obliterate the context.
Yep, exactly.
So that seems, right? So that it seems insidious.
Right.
And that's what you've seen throughout the past 5 to 6 years or more, maybe the past 7 to 8 years. You've seen this insidious manipulation of specific words that look like a fact, but they're contextually taken to another level of conspiracy and evil. And then that's wrapped into some kind of evangelical belief system of good against evil, because somehow people are being injected with things, right, that are causing them to react or act in a way.
They're changing our DNA, right?
They're changing our DNA because the New World Order and the socialists, right, or the communists, the globalists, which are mostly Jewish, right?
It's funny that happens.
Right? What they're trying to do, they're trying to control the population. And things like mercury that are being injected directly into our veins, it's just part of the greater conspiracy theory of controlling everybody and killing those that are not adaptable or not part of the New World Order's greater plan.
Welcome to InfoWars.
Right? That is what this is
No,
about.
that's exactly it. You're right. I mean, like, you weren't swaying me, but like I was listening to you, and I was suddenly going to be like, wonder if I'm maybe my microwave is turning my frog gay. Like, I don't know, but you had me there. Like you.
Well, the reason they're trying to soften the mercury immunizations by adding the word ethyl to it. You said it at the beginning. I just came full circle. So I full circle. So
no, full circle.
Now,
so let me just say this: like, is there anything that Kennedy, RFK Jr. wouldn't see a conspiracy in? Right? Like, is there anything? So
I'd like to know.
I went surely his own father, who was assassinated publicly on camera, tragically. Surely there's no conspiracy there. No, he doesn't believe that Sirhan killed his dad. He believes it was a CIA op. Maybe there was a security guard there that had expressed some far right views. So he's visited Sirhan in jail. He believes that he is completely innocent. So I was like, you got to be kidding me.
Has he said that Sirhan has told him that he was part of some greater conspiracy plot, or is it just do you know if it's just a baseline belief system based on the fact that he was sort of, with John F. Kennedy Jr., with his dad, with Ted Kennedy and Chappaquiddick, he sort of was birthed in conspiracy, wasn't he, Matt? Like he's sort of in this pipeline of bat-shittery, right?
Yeah,
and he's sort of bouncing left or right through it as he goes up, right?
Right.
And his little head pops up and he's like, it's all over him. He's like covered. He's like Shawshank Redemption, covered in conspiratorial guano, right? Or just absolutely, and snorts it and loves it and spits it out. The issue is this guy is running for president of the United States.
Okay. Yeah, like, can we keep coming back to that? Well, okay, so let's say this. So go back a few more years. His uncle, right? Assassinated. Arguably the reason why most conspiracy theories currently exist, right? Like the JFK assassination. Well, to no surprise, he doesn't think Oswald did it. Again, muddy in terms of what does he really think happened? Like, because
the CIA or mob side.
No, it's both. It's all. And that's going to be the other situation is you will find him with his conspiracy theories that he has been on different sides of them, right? So, but what's consistent is it's a conspiracy. So just to touch upon COVID for 1 second is, early on in COVID, he was, that it wasn't as bad, this was a manufactured crisis in order to enrich Dr. Fauci and Bill Gates. Sure.
Of course. Yeah.
Then it switched to, once it became all about the vaccines, then it became his normal vaccines are evil, right? And then he opposed, any kind of COVID mitigation to a hilarious, I guess I shouldn't say hilarious, but considering how horrible he was about this, he did publicly state that, while we were having, mild COVID restrictions, I guess it was tyranny to him because he said that at least, for Anne Frank, at least she could hide from the Nazis, where we couldn't hide from COVID restrictions. Now, I have a question for you, Denver. Did it work out well for Anne Frank? Like the hiding? Was that a happily ever after story? Like what happened? Like, because I feel like he's missing something there.
Yeah, he's missing the ending. I think, first of all, how the word escapes me because I don't want to use too much profanity.
Okay.
I'm not kidding because, I'm good at it.
Mm-hmm.
But how callous is to, first of all, to make that comparison. First of all. Second of all, not only is the comparison callous based on the historical certainties and facts of that time, which are not even part of a reasonable or rational comparison to the timeline that we had with COVID. There's it's not just apples and oranges, right?
Right.
It's sea bass and stalactites, right? There's no, right? So that's really what it comes down to. But it's the fact that he would, I don't know, for me, it's this underlying use of Jewish figures, again, that really starts to strike me as something that really
not accidental. It's not accidental.
Not accidental. And the other thing about this too, is you said something, he's all over the place. I think inconsistency is a feature, not a bug when it comes to conspiracy theories, because 100%. Smashing people in the amygdala is really what they want to do. Yeah. And I think what we're trying to do here, and I don't want to use this too quickly, but when we're doing actually research on what people say and do, not extrapolation of bizarreness, right? We are using sort of the data version of the 1 million pound shit hammer, right? With, talking about Hunter Thompson.
That is such an image. Yeah.
We are the million pound shit hammer of facts based insights. That's what we need to remember, as we're going forward. So when you're saying this vaporware that they create, that inconsistency is actually very powerful for them, because
the less you can pin them down, the better it is for them.
Yeah. And by the way, if it's good against evil, an ignoramus ain't going to worry about. They don't even remember the argument from last week, right?
Right.
They've been too busy shooting Bud Light cans. They don't remember shit. So anyway.
So
sorry, that was another rant, wasn't it?
No, it's a good one. Now, I have a question for you as someone that understands conspiracy theories and how people, who are constructing them think. And
sometimes.
Okay, you get it better than most. All right. So
sometimes.
So the Kennedys, just awash in conspiracy theories. Like there's, JFK Jr., like his death, people blamed it on Hillary Clinton or whatever. Let's talk about Ted Kennedy for a second.
Okay.
Because I am genuinely curious here. Like, why did the Illuminati save him from being blamed for Chappaquiddick? Why did the deep state, not swap him out for someone else? And why did he get to take the blame? Because people who are looking at this screen can see under tinfoil Matt, it says justice for Ted Kennedy. And what I am saying is, Illuminati, you guys fell down on that one because he became the butt of a joke forever. And you guys are all about Ted Kennedy or Kennedy being your savior. You want to resurrect one from the dead, but you wouldn't come to the rescue of one that was alive, despite the fact that he killed his liver 80 bajillion times. So my question is what is it what makes that one different? Is it because he survived? That is really what I want to ask. With JFK and Robert and RFK, they died, right? Those were assassinations. So now you've got a bunch of theories around that. Had Ted Kennedy, say, also drowned in Chappaquiddick, do you think we would get the same a mythology created around that was not an accident, that it was not, that it was a hit, that it was intentional?
Of course, because I think people have a hard time with the simple fact and data cause and effect of somebody doing stupid shit.
Right. Because that's what it was. I mean, and it was tragic. That was stupid
shit.
Yeah.
There's, the stories about JFK, just the bad decisions that he made, right? Or the decisions of security, or the fact that he was in an open top vehicle, all those things. Exactly. Thank you, as you guzzle Maryland. And then, you also have, right, when you're talking about Sirhan, you're talking about Robert F. Kennedy Jr. and the conspiracy theory surrounding that. If Ted Kennedy would have died in there, you're talking about it would have been a coordinated actual attack on the Kennedy family, right? The thing is,
taking out all of the siblings.
Well, I got to ask you a question then.
Yeah.
How do you know the Illuminati wasn't there?
Do you think they drove him off the road? Do you think, in North by Northwest, when Martin Landau dumped booze on Cary Grant and then sent him to drive, that's what they did to Ted Kennedy?
How do you know that didn't happen?
That's true. Actually, you know what? No. Yeah, it did.
And the fact that you just pulled North by Northwest, probably, I think that rationalizes all the money that I pay you for this podcast, Matt.
Okay, well, and now when I add that with what George Soros pays me, I am sitting pretty.
Wow.
Oh, gotta cash that George Soros check next. Okay, so last thing. Did you know that Robert F. Kennedy Jr. is a master falconer? Did you also know that master falconer is also called a raptor propagator?
If I had illegal drugs on me right now, I'd just do them all. What? Listen, I know a little bit about Master Falcon.
See, and that's why I bring it up, because unfortunately, or fortunately, this isn't isolated.
I can't believe you made that poll. For me, and I'm glad Doug's listening to this, because this would be amazing. I got disowned by family members. I was castigated when I came out against QAnon, but when I talked about Donald Trump retweeting a woman named Anna Kate, right, who was dude, I'm pulling this from my brain. This is just for me looking at it so many times. I think she was on season 32 of Survivor.
Yes, she was a reality contestant. Yeah.
Trump was part of the sort of the tweet chain about Joe Biden, right, and Barack Obama killing SEAL Team 6,
right,
based on some deal because Osama bin Laden's body double was killed, not Osama bin Laden.
Right.
There was an exchange of money, and Biden and Obama had to kill SEAL Team 6, right, in order for some kind of bizarre cover-up. I'm trying to remember and trying to make this point from all the stuff that I've read about it, right?
Yes.
The guy who started that conspiracy theory, the freak show that looks like Gandalf the Grey, right?
I mean, hold on. Well,
I mean,
local community theater Gandalf, yes.
Local, maybe Sauron's brother that maybe was born badly, right? So right? So you have this guy with the last name that's spelled Parrot.
Oh, yeah. You mean Parrot the Falconer?
Parrot the Falconer, right? I guess he said his name was Perot, right? So,
is that how he said it's pronounced?
I believe, if I'm trying to remember correctly, right?
Perfect.
So you have this idiot who said he was a CIA agent.
Yes.
But that he met, or that he liked to congregate with terrorists or world leaders, state-sponsored terrorists, right, as a falconer, right?
Yes, yeah. He was, he was some middle, he's very vague on it, but there was
purposely vague.
He was important Middle Eastern government. He was their falconer.
He was a falconer trained by the CIA.
The official falconer of some Middle Eastern high-ranking official.
The official falconer of Lord of the Rings. And this guy, right, is the one who propagated the batshit conspiracy theory that Obama and Biden killed SEAL Team 6. And my guess is this, is that somewhere along the line, our boy Parrot the Falconer and conspiracy shit, conspiracy babe that, Robert F. Kennedy Jr., our conspiracy boy that, was burnt in conspiracy, that they must have had maybe Falcon play dates.
Oh,
maybe
those Falcons smooched. Don't worry. Don't you worry.
Oh my God.
And that is my new conspiracy theory, that Parrot the Falconer and RFK Jr. the Falconer hang out. And also, I guess just as you were talking, I now have another question. Can a falcon defeat a seal? How about 6 seals? Can a falcon defeat 6 seals?
I heard that's what, the question is so profound on so many levels. I find the whole line of questioning foul.
Hey, Doug, you might need to rescue us.
The dad joke.
That pun killed me. I quit. I'm out.
He made it almost one episode.
Right.
One episode, we lost Doug. Twister of knobs.
Yeah, and the between that and the Lord of the Rings jokes, like, sexuality just left the show.
No.
Well, the thing is, when you have the kind of knowledge, you think about, right, Doug, you're sort of rolling with us, and Matt's rolling so hard and heavy, looking at what these individuals are doing. And I dealt with these people in my face talking about this. Yeah. Right. And you talk about, I don't even have to do my own research because I actually had to fight this, right? Right out in the open with this kind of crazy. But when you come full circle about Parrot the Falconer and RFK Jr. the Falconer, and the fact that really I put the nail in my coffin for my political career, because I went out against that specific conspiracy theory that Trump was also propagating from this crazy Kate who got it from this crazy Parrot, guy, right? Who said he's part of the CIA. All of it absolute hogwash, total bullshit, just made up out of the ether on some cocaine-addled high, right? I think we're too, and that's what put me over. That's when people said, "Oh my goodness, you're no longer a Republican."
Yeah.
That's
what you wouldn't follow Parrot the Falcon.
If you go back and if we went back and actually watched that interview, that's the one that really sealed the deal for me. I knew that was over for me. And, and I think that's really what was the rift between, friends I had for 30 years, family members, right? So now we're talking about RFK Jr. You're talking about, we just stacked, half a dozen or more bizarre conspiracy theories with actual subcategories of conspiracy theories, with the inability to critically think, with the fact that he actually lines up with Donald Trump, the fact that he not even adjacent, he likes to imply, or he likes to explicitly go to the globalist conspiracy theories. He said things about Anne Frank that are shockingly brutal and callous, right? And we laugh at him with a falcon on his forearm as he's running through the woods of crazy with a guy with a beard all the way down to his knees. Again, we're back to
see? I bet you Jack Dorsey's a falconer. Jack Dorsey.
I bet Jack Dorsey's a falconer. We just came full circle, right? But I just
can I defend RFK on this Falcon front for like 1 second, right?
Yes.
Like, I think you guys are maybe just scratching the surface of the Falcon thing, because like,
do we need a leather?
Are we doing this? Is that
because you got to think like he's an heir to a dynasty who's also a child of gun violence. Mm-hmm. So he probably has like a Falcon cave and a Falcon mobile, maybe some Falcon shark repellent. Like he probably sleeps on the roof with his birds. Wait,
hold on. Do you think he has a sidekick? Maybe like, I don't. Robin might not. No, but what about a sidekick named Parrot?
What with Parrot Man or Parrot Boy? Right. It's Falcon Man and Parrot Boy, right?
Denver was just totally like getting really impassioned because his whole party was just stolen from him by these, like, infected by these performative monsters, and we're like, but wait a second.
But wait a second. What if it was na
Falcon Man?
Oh, well, I got to read your mail.
Okay.
So yeah, I got to read your mail
because we will now, from this point forward, if people have questions, they can send them to us, because we've got a mailbag segment, which I don't know, Doug, would you like to do the honors?
Yeah, I would. You can actually email questions into themightypeculiar@gmail.com. For now, we're going to get other socials. Other things are going on. We're going to be reaching out. Our tentacles will reach far and wide.
Whoa.
Right. So here are your questions today. You fellas ready?
We're ready.
Okay. This one comes from Kira. Isn't Kennedy's mother named Ethyl? And does he in fact associate his mother with poison? I guess this is a reference to the ethanol and ethyl mercury and methyl mercury.
Yeah. Don't make Iowa unhappy by slamming ethanol.
Right.
Matt, you know what? So he's got a Norman Bates thing about his mom.
Oh,
Really?
That's so Ethyl is
Real.
not. Yeah, no. I actually know. I don't know. Is that legally actionable? Is that slander? I don't.
Yeah,
know these things.
as-
No,
yeah.
but yes, yeah. I have a feeling that is his. His hang up right there is he's like, well, look, methyl mercury's bad, but ethyl mercury sounds like my mom, and she was no walk in the park. So
yeah. So that's
So he just cuts off the names and says Mercury to help him actually cope. Is that what
All
you're
of it.
saying?
Yep.
Is that what
Yep.
we're doing, Matt? Okay.
that's what I'm saying.
theory. That's a good theory.
It's a
Theory, yes.
Theory.
Oh, I'm
Hey,
sorry.
We're allowed to ask questions here.
Everything
We are the
I-
Mighty Patrol.
everything
Just asking questions.
everything I just said, please go back and put air quotes around that.
Right.
Just
Okay.
asking questions.
This question comes from Rob. Does RFK believe his cousin is still alive? Do you know the answer to that, Matt?
I don't actually. Yeah, I wonder how he feels about what's that guy, Vincent? What the guy that says he's JFK Jr.? That would be an interesting one because
Yeah.
I mean, why not? Why stop now?
I'm going to say
Well-
no.
Okay.
You're going to say no. Yeah, and here's why. And you're like, Den, with your vast knowledge of conspiracy theories, how could you say no? Right? But
You
I
found
think-
his sanity line.
I do think the sanity line would be his cousin. I think my guess is he went to the
Right.
funeral, right?
Sure.
He saw the body in state, right? My question, though, is actually deeper. Are you guys ready for this?
Yeah.
Does he believe Hillary Clinton had his cousin killed because of the Senate race in New York?
Ah.
So there's a layer here.
Yeah.
That I think that if there is a conspiracy theory, it's not the fact that he's still alive. I think that RFK Jr. would lean towards, if there was a conspiracy theory that he actually would grasp or gravitate to, is what deep state globalist leader, what nefarious force actually was behind the death of his cousin. So that's my take.
Yeah. Okay. And last question. And you guys, you sort of mentioned this earlier.
Mhm.
This one's for Denver from Joanna. Do you think RFK really believes this stuff, or is he just marketing himself to the Cracker Barrel people?
Was that Quacker Barrel?
Right. We'll
quacks?
say that. That sounds a little less aggressive. I will say
Because we
Quacker.
do know, sorry to break this news to everyone, but the Cracker Barrel has fallen, guys. Like I'm sorry, it's gone.
Cracker Barrel has fallen.
It went woke. So let's the Quacker Barrel. Denver, do you want to go?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Did you say that because they're celebrating Pride? Is that why?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Correct.
I just pieced that together. I didn't actually
yeah.
know that. Go ahead.
I'm
So-
sorry. Yes, they have fallen.
Yeah.
Well, if honestly, I think what's amazing about this show as we ask these questions, right, and as we go forward with this, I think it's actually a combination. I think that he does believe. I think you do get to a point where he wouldn't be where he is right now if he didn't wholeheartedly believe in some of the conspiracy theories. I also believe as he gets older, or as he's actually, maybe he is deliberately obtuse. But once you're introduced to actually more facts and truth and data, it's hard to turn away with it unless you deliberately do so, or this.
Right.
Or it's something that's part of your persona and part of how you can monetize and weaponize that there's no way that you can actually ever look at yourself in the mirror or even admit that this stuff is absolutely gobbledygook. So even if you're making money, or he's in this point where he's actually getting interviews on valid networks, think about this, Matt. He's going on actual mainstream networks, right? He's getting press. His polling is above that of the third place, right, person who's polling right now.
Right.
He's able to do a pretty good hackery job on the climate side while actually aligning with Trump all the way down the line with some of the crazy stuff. At this point, based on his future politically, with somebody who's amoral or who has no ability to discern right from wrong, there's no way he can go back on any of this. So my guess is this. My guess he has massive strains of true believership within that warped, mental cranium that he has. But on the other side, even if he sees some light that he needs to go to away from that darkness, I don't think he'll ever go there, because it takes away from who he is and how he markets himself. So that's That's how I would answer that question.
I'll totally on board with that. And like the only thing I would add to it is, and you kind of hinted at this, is if there was any disparity between being like a true believer and an opportunist now, that's going to be out the window, because if he wants a future in some form of public office, the only hope he's got is like a Trump administration, or maybe DeSantis or something like. And that's why, as I went back to, kind of to the beginning about how he's not in step with the Democratic Party as it currently exists. So I feel like, the beliefs that he held true, the conspiracy theories that he was a true believer on, perfectly positioned him as an accident of history with the current MAGA part of the Republican Party. And now he gets to carry forward being, honestly, like their token Democrat, right? Like the amount of, MAGA Republicans that are like, well, I don't like Democrats, but I do like, RFK Jr.
Right.
This is where, so yeah, why would he ever now let anyone know whether he doesn't believe everything he's saying or not?
No, you couldn't, right.
He doesn't have the proper incentivization, and I think that's really what it comes down to. And I would say this, and when you are birthed in conspiracy,
he was.
I think
the only way to put it.
really think his only consistency is the fact that he has to use inconsistent arguments to rationalize his crazy belief systems. And and I think that's really something we have to look at going forward as we go into 2024 in the future, is how are people going to weaponize inconsistency and this good against evil sort of messianic complex that these individuals have, that there is a good against evil battle in the world right now. Right. But the people like us, we really are the enemies. And that should scare people, because, if we can't point out how people self-identify, if we can't point out what they actually say and somehow we're part of the problem, I think we have a long road ahead of us.
Well, on that note, gentlemen, say goodbye. Right on that. Please click like and subscribe and the notify bell. Otherwise, the aliens come and they probe you.
Yep.
You'll
get a real probing. And if that sounds good to you, also still click like and subscribe.
Yeah, definitely.
And
because we got the hook.
But if Bigfoot's an alien, I'm subscribing.
So we also have to point out that Matt and I wrote a song in case any of the conspiracy theorists that do listen to Robert Kennedy happened upon this by accident and you're angry at us right now. We wrote a song for you to help you with the difference of between ethyl mercury and methyl mercury. And we're going to spend this time. Gentlemen, turn off your microphones so it doesn't feed back. And we're just going to dance to it until it's time to go home. So this is for you guys. Ethyl mercury is not methyl mercury. Why can't you get this straight? Kennedy, instead of stirring up more controversy. Ethyl mercury is not methyl mercury. It's not a heavy lift, Hercules, but you're not exactly Socrates, are you? No, I'm afraid not. So you're gonna have to pay attention closely. Ethyl reserves all the good stuff, then leave so you can rest. Methyl come from a shellfish. If you ain't careful, it could be a farewell kiss. You wouldn't give meth to ethyl, cause that could make us slip away. Cause ethyl make you smile and healthy when you're Mercury in retrograde. Oh! Excuse me, Kennedy, why all the hyperbole? It's not a heavy lift, Hercules, but you ain't exactly Socrates. Everybody now! Ethyl mercury is not methyl mercury. Why can't you get this straight? Kennedy, instead of stirring up more controversy, instead of living in the multiverse.